So tell me about growing up in Shoal Creek Valley. How was it?
Well, we've lived there. We lived there all of our lives, and we had a farm. We had goats and chickens and peacocks. We had any animal that you could name. We had it, and it was a very fun life because even though we didn't really have neighbors, we had a lot of activities that we could do outside. We played together.
Yeah, I'll never live anywhere but the country because it's just such a different lifestyle for a child. Because after the tornado, I moved to a suburb, and I was still like 14, 15, and it was just nothing like living in the country at all.
Tell me more about your animals and the critters.
Well, I started getting on the farm when I was 6 years old, and I was responsible for feeding. Well, she helped too, but we were all responsible for feeding the chickens and everything. We had about 70 goats on our farm, and we had peacocks and we had swans we had them at a time, and we had geese, guineas, pheasants.
So you have to feed all these critters?
Yes, we had so many. It was wonderful.
How long did it take to do that?
Well,
really not long. We had a giant bucket of feed, and like we would just get in there and just throw it out to all of the
What would goats
animals.
eat? Anything?
Just like goat feed, right?
yeah, we had goat feed. It was a feed for goats.
Yeah.
So tell me about the three of you as little girls growing up.
I was the youngest, so they didn't really play with me that often.
Well, my older sister and I, we played a lot when we were younger. We used to throw Barbie dolls up into trees and watch them fall down. And we had a swing set, and we all played in the pool. We had a little above ground pool that we played in the summer. It was fun, and sometimes we did leave little Sierra out, but
I made mud pies from the dirt in my little cooking station outside.
yes, and Sierra actually had her own playhouse that Cecily and I didn't get to have.
Daddy built me my own playhouse. It was a legit house. Like you could go in it, it had electricity, and it was so much fun.
Yes, so she really got the best of everything.
Tell me about your parents.
Well, Daddy worked at the Federal Reserve Bank for 21 years before they shut down or whatever. And then he started going to school to be a nurse because he's like, well, what am I going to do now? So he was like one of the smartest people you'd ever meet. He had the brains for everything. He did our own taxes. He did everything for us. Like we never had to go anywhere to get anything done because he always did it.
So he was a nurse and he worked at a Birmingham hospital, right?
Yes, St. Vincent's.
Wow. Tell me about your mom.
Well, our mom, she was a stay-at-home mom for all of our lives, and she did everything for us. She cooked for us, took us to all of our activities, and she was really a very nourishing person. She helped us with everything, just like our dad did.
Yeah.
They both loved us.
She was probably one of the most sweetest human beings on this planet.
Yeah, she would do anything for anyone. Very, very calm for the family, for three girls. She's very calm.
So how long have your parents been married?
Well, they were married for 25 years. So.
What are some of your most fond memories of being with them growing up?
Well, for me, let's see. Daddy, me and him would always go in the woods, riding four-wheelers. At one point, we even started mountain biking. Daddy would wake me up before school sometimes, and we would just go outside and walk around the ponds. Just enjoy nature. And then Mama, just her coming to all of my sporting events, like every single thing. Like anything that I needed to go do, she was always there, like every single part of my life.
Well, I guess one of my most fond memories with my mother, we both loved to run, and we trained for 5Ks together. And my dad, he ran too, and we all would run around the field together. And I really enjoyed that because we were all running together. And with my dad, I was the tomboy farm girl, so that's my fond memories with my father. They were playing or taking care of the animals together, and that was a really fun time.
So we could handle having 3 girls then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daddy wanted a boy. He thought Cassie was going to be a boy, but I don't know. I think we turned out just fine.
What do you remember about the morning of April 27th?
Well, that day, for some reason, I woke up and I went outside and I went and saw all the animals. I went and saw the goats, the chickens, everything. And then I went and ran around the field and walked up in the woods and everything, just for no reason. Like, I never would do that on a normal day, but for some reason, I just thought, I'm going to go do all this. I just want to go see everything.
Well, for me that morning, I needed some eye drops. And so my dad said, let's go to Dollar General. And so my dad and I went to Dollar General, and that morning the storms had went through Raglan. And so we were looking at all the storm damage, and the Dollar General in Raglan was closed because of the tornado that went through there. And so we went to Southside Dollar General, and we saw my grandmother at the Dollar General, and she told us, she said, make sure y'all were safe tonight. I hear more storms might be coming through. And that's the last thing that I remember, was seeing my grandmother at the Southside Dollar General. And it was just it was odd that we saw her there and she told us that. And so that was the last thing that I remember.
What are your memories leading up to the tornado that afternoon?
Like, before it was coming?
Yeah.
Well, I remember at one point, me and Daddy were sitting in the living room, and we were actually watching you and the tornado go through Tuscaloosa. And then Daddy looked at me and he said, well, Sierra, what are we going to do if the tornado comes to us? And I was like, I don't know, Daddy. That's one of the weirdest things I'll never forget.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But for me, after the trip to Dollar General, I guess from being unconscious, I don't remember anything from leading up to the storm.
What were your last memories before the storm hit?
Mama
and where did you go in the house?
Okay. Mama had just cooked chicken pot pie and brownies, and we ate the chicken pot pie, but she said that we couldn't have the brownies until after the storm. And so we were all outside on the porch, like listening to the hail and the rain and just everything. And then I went in my room because there was no service, of course. But my phone would pick up service from like the window in my room. And I remember going to my room and scrolling through my phone, and for some reason I had a feeling, and I looked out my back window and I saw something moving in the air. And I called Cecily in there and I was like, Cecily, is this the tornado? And she was like, oh my gosh. And then we all ran right to the bathroom.
So all 5 people were in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
What's the last thing you remember?
Daddy was like, just going through the house, and he was like, get in the bathroom. So we all got in the bathroom, and then Mama was like, go get Bitsy, and that's our dog that we had. She loved it. And so Daddy ran out there and he got Bitsy, and when he came in, he slammed the door and he was like, the tornado just got the garage. And so we knew right then it was about to hit us.
So as the tornado hit the house, you were all in the bathroom.
Yes, sir.
Were you alert? And I know you don't have any memory, Cassie, but were you alert for the whole tornado?
Yes, sir.
What was it like?
Well, me and Cecily sat down by the bathtub, and then Cassie, Mama, and Daddy were standing up by the sink, and I just remember hearing this noise. I really can't even describe it. People say it's like a freight train, which I don't even know what that sounds like. But I just remember sitting there, and the floor just kind of cracked underneath us, and then we just all rose up, and it just flew us. And the only thing I remember is my face felt like it was sliding on concrete. And I just laid there and the last thing I remember is I was looking at the sky and I was like, what just happened? And the sky was green, and then, you know.
How long did it take for all this to happen?
Well, the tornado hit about 6:50, and me and Cecily walked up the hill, and we found our cousin Nick, and he just put us in this truck, and there was really nothing else we could do because there was so much stuff down, and nobody could get to us. So we finally went to this abandoned. No, it wasn't abandoned. It was a house that had actually gotten struck by the tornado, so it was kind of like crumbling. But that's the only thing that was really left. So me and Cecily went up there, and we sat on the couch, and
Now, where was Cassie during all this?
she was still down there with Mama and Daddy. Me and Cecily flew 200 yards, or which is longer, 200 yards or feet? Feet?
Yards is longer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, feet then.
I think feet would make more
Yeah,
sense.
that makes okay.
So you were actually lofted then.
We all were. Me and Cecily were flown 200 feet away, and her and Mom and Daddy were flown 800 feet away from where it was.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's what. I don't know if it was feet or what it was, but it was something like that.
Maybe let's not say. Maybe let's say we were all flown. I don't know. I don't know.
But do you have memories of being alert when you were actually in the air, when you were being lofted? Were you awake during that whole time?
Yeah, it felt like my face was sliding on concrete. I was just being my body was just taken over, and there was nothing I could do about it. And it just felt like I was sliding the whole time until I just ended up somewhere, until it just completely just left.
And so you were able to walk after you landed, and you went for help.
Yes.
Were you aware of the condition of your sister and your parents at that time?
Well, I was laying there and I yelled for help, and my sister got up and she came and helped me up because my leg was my nerves were completely severed, and she helped me walk, and we were yelling for help, and we heard our dad yell for help. And so we followed his voice, and we found her and Mama and Daddy. And at this point, Mama was already dead, and Daddy was laying on his stomach, and he was, his shirt was ripped, and he was just like, go find help. And Cassie had a bunch of wood covering her, and me and Cecily tried to lift some off of it, but we just couldn't. She was just moaning the whole time.
So you were taken to a hospital, obviously. How were you transported? Ambulance or helicopter?
Yes, an ambulance finally came around 1, and they had ran out of straps because there had been so many people injured that day, so they had to strap us down with duct tape. That's how many people were injured.
So the tornado happened around 7, and you didn't get transported until 1 a.m.
1 or 2.
Goodness, what did you do for the entire time?
Just laid on this person's couch until somebody came. They came and got them first. There were paramedics that came in, and they were like, are there people who are more injured? And we were like, yeah, go down to our place. And then Cassie was airlifted.
So Cassie, you have no recollection of this. What's your first memory after the tornado?
Waking up in the hospital was my first memory.
And how long was that?
I think it was the end of May.
Wow.
When
So
I woke
almost a
up.
month.
I was sedated for a month. They placed me in an induced coma because of all my injuries.
Tell me about your injuries.
Well, I actually broke 26 bones. The most severe bones that I broke were my neck, spine, and pelvis. My pelvis was shattered. And so I had 13 surgeries from that, and I'm all healed now.
When you first came out of the coma, you were induced in a coma, what did they tell you? Did they expect you to make a full recovery, or what was your prognosis at the time? Do you remember?
Well, a lot of people, well, I don't really remember the exact what they were going to place me. Like, they were talking about placing me in an assisted living home, or I was in a wheelchair afterwards for 3 months. So I lived with my grandparents, and at first, whenever I first got in the hospital, I don't know if they were actually expecting much of anything from me as a full recovery like I have made. I don't know if they were expecting that.
When did you find out that your parents had died?
In the hospital after I woke up.
Who told you?
I'm not sure. It might have been my sisters, Cecily and Sierra, might have told me. And
Sarah, when did you find out?
Directly after the tornado. Whenever I saw Mama laying there, I knew, well, she's already gone. And then whenever me and Cecily were sitting at that house, we heard somebody talk on the walkie-talkie, and we heard them say, Albert and Angie Sanders are dead. So right then I was like, well, they're gone.
Do you ever wonder why you survived and they were taken? You ever think about that?
I feel like God has us here, all three of the three sisters here for a reason.
it's part of His plan. And maybe we're here to encourage others, to help others through something like this.
So you were orphaned instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you live, Sierra, after this?
Well, I was considered like an orphan, a ward of the state. I was only 14. At first, me and Cecily lived with our aunt, and then we moved to our other aunt and uncle's house, and then eventually we just started renting a house in Southside, and I had to move schools.
So basically, you had to live life on your own.
Mm-hmm.
For those people that are hurting, and there's a lot of people that are hurting, what would you tell them right now?
I would tell them that everything gets better and everything happens for a reason. And the main thing you have to do is just give everything time. And you just have to realize that there's a reason this happened. Things like this just don't happen to people for no reason. There's a reason people were lost and people survived. It's just all part of God's plan.
What would you say, Cassie?
I would say that in order to help you through, nothing will help you through something like this except for God, trusting in God and reading His Word. And that's what I've done ever since. It's just studying His Word and trusting in Him to help me through this, because He's the only way.
Do you think it was just maybe meant to be that both your parents were called home at the same time?
I honestly feel like it was better that they both died together, because I couldn't ever imagine one of them being without the other. And I couldn't imagine life with one parent and then the other one gone. So I feel like it was a reason they're gone together, because, well, you know, they never really left each other. They were on earth together and they died together, and now they're on heaven together.
Y'all ever go back to the old place, the old homestead?
Yes.
How often do you go back? And when you go back, what do you do? What do you think about?
We really go there quite frequently. I just went over there last week. It's just a really eerie feeling you kind of get. It's just one of those feelings where you're like, wow, did this really happen here? It's a place where there's good memories, but there's a feeling that overcomes you when you're there. It's just such a strong catastrophe.
Cassie, when you go back, what goes through your mind?
Well, I guess what would go through my mind is there's nothing there that is me anymore. Nothing. Our house is gone, and all of our memories are still there, though. All of our memories that we had there are still there. Even though the house is gone and all of the animals are gone, you can still go there and say, this happened here. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of fun memories. I lived there for 19 years.
So Cassie, tell me about your life after the tornado. Who's your friend here?
Well, this is my daughter, Elise. I had her in October 26th, on October 26th of last year. So she's almost 6 months old. And so I broke 26 bones and now I have a baby.
Did you ever think this would be possible?
I didn't think it would be possible. And whenever I was pregnant, I had no complications. Everything worked wonderfully. I had to have a C-section because of my previous conditions, but other than that, she was just a blessing from God, really. I would say through a tragedy, through something like that, comes a blessing like this. It's just a wonderful feeling. I'm really thankful. I'm thankful to have her.
It's awesome. And I understand another wedding is coming up in the family, huh?
Yes. I just got engaged to my high school sweetheart. He was there with me before
Now,
the
both
tornado.
of you guys married your high school sweetheart. What's the deal with that?
Well,
They were good from the first time.
I was with Lewis since I was 15 years old, and he was with me through it all.
So, what are you going to tell your daughter about the tornado? Because she'll ask questions.
Well, I'm going to tell her that it was a moment that changed my life forever. It's something that I'll never forget. And I guess what I would tell her is if she ever experienced something like that, just turn to God, turn to His Word and read it, and just try to give it time to overcome it. Hopefully she will never experience anything like that. I don't know how we made it through it, but we did.
One more question, and we've got to go. How did people in the community in St. Clair County help you girls? Do you have any memories of people that helped? How did they help?
People came from everywhere to help us with everything, clothes, money, shelter. Like, everybody was willing to help, and they would throw like 5Ks and all these fundraisers for us. And it was just a blessing to have people in this world who can just not know somebody but really feel touched and just be able to give them everything, even if you don't even know them.
People gave us clothes, everything you can imagine. People just came from everywhere to give us things, and we're very thankful for that. They helped
Very
us.
thankful.
They helped us get back on our feet.